Today I'm going to be showing you the YN-E wireless flash trigger for the Canon RF system. Today I have here the YN-E3-RT connected to a 600EX-RT flash from Canon, and I will be showing you the autofocus assist and explaining a few things that I found over these last few days, and also doing a few photo shots. So the first thing is, the main bragging point about this flash compared to the Canon is that this one has an autofocus assist beam. Connected this both to a 6D body and a 5D Mark III. And one thing that I did find is that the focus assist, as you've probably seen on other reviews, is not centered. The beam is actually centered from the center focus point to the very top focus point. So what happens is that whenever you're trying to focus on the subject, the beam is going to be appearing on a crop sensor camera from the center focus point to the very top focus point. So if you're trying to focus on anything that's underneath on the bottom side, from the center to the bottom, it's not going to catch focus on those objects or on those cross point focus points. Alright, what I'm going to be showing you now is the autofocus assist on the wireless trigger. As you can see, it's a series of lines vertically and horizontally. So what I've done is I've taken the 6D body, which is a full frame, and I've also done the 5D Mark III and also the 6DD, which is the crop sensor. And I found out that on the full frame bodies, it definitely works a little bit better just because it has a wider field of view. But on the 6DD, which is the body that I'm holding right now, which is a crop sensor, on this one, it's having the focus point from the center to the top. So that's one problem that I did find. I called YN-E and I also sent them some emails trying to find out some information on this, and were they seeing these on these issues on their other production units. I never heard back from them, so I sent them another email. I waited another day for a response, and again no response from YN-E. So I would imagine this is a quality issue that they're probably seeing across all the other wireless flash triggers from them. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut off the trigger itself. Alright, what I got here is the 600EX-RT. I'm going to turn this flash on right now. It's already set up for slave. I'm going to turn this wheel here so that way you can see the back display. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on, next to it, the YN-E3-RT. It's turning on, and it links pretty quickly here. Now that I have them both turned on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple of fire shots just to show you that this is definitely working. So I'm going to press the focus again, fires, and it's spraying. So again, fire again, so what I'm going to demonstrate to you now is the camera and the flash right next to each other, and I'm going to be shooting both of those. And what I want you to see is the ready light on the flash itself and on the YN-E trigger. As you can see, it's going to allow you to see when the flash is ready to be fired after it's been recycled. So here we're going to start. As you can see, it wasn't ready, so I fired it again and the flash didn't go off. When the flash is ready to fire again, the light comes on, and it allows you to fire the flash again. The batteries right now on the 600EX-RT are not fully charged, and that's the reason I wanted to show you guys this, so that way everybody can see that it definitely allows you to see when the flash is ready to be used. So far everything has been as expected. As far as a replacement for the Canon version of this wireless flash trigger, it definitely does everything that the Canon does. So we verified all the different 5 groups on it. We adjusted the levels on each group, turned the flash off for each group, and everything seems to be working properly. So I haven't found any issues so far with the trigger itself as a direct replacement for the Canon one. I'm using it right now with a 60D, and the reason for that is because of the crop sensor, and I'm trying to get as much of a fader rate as I can due to the crop body itself. On a wider body, for example on a 5D Mark III, which is a full frame, or a 60, which I've tested both of those, it works a little bit better because of course you've got a wider field of view. So I decided to test this with a 60D today and show you guys that, and also show you what the autofocus assist light looks like, so that way you can take a look at it. So first things, as everybody has probably seen on some of the other posts, the flash trigger itself, there's a little bit of play on the head, so it doesn't sit fully secure. So there's probably about a ½ degree or a 1 degree play between left and right. So whenever you're shooting a picture, the first thing that I've done was to make sure that I actually have it centered before I start doing anything else. But like I said, the next problem that I had was that it wasn't centered from top to bottom. So anything that I was trying to get a focus on from center to top, it worked, but from the center cross point to the very bottom, I wasn't getting anything to focus within that area. So as a direct replacement for the Canon, this definitely does everything that the Canon does. As actually promoting the functionality of a autofocus assist, I hate to say this, but it's not centered, or the one unit that I received is not centered. And that's actually a big problem, because that's the reason that a lot of people are buying these triggers for. And that's the main selling point, I guess, to go with Yangyo instead of getting the Canon, or also just the price point. What I did find out for me is that if I were to go on a set and shoot, I would probably use the 600EX-RT as a main flash trigger, just because of the reliability of always having the center cross point being on center, and I would hate to miss some shots because it's not focusing on the right area. So as far as shooting at night, weddings or whatever you're going to be shooting at, I would think probably your best bet is to shoot with a 600EX-RT on your camera, and then having your other flashes around you. As far as probably being on the studio where you're going to have well lit light, I would think this is a great alternative for the Canon version. I don't see any reason why you would actually buy the Canon one, other than having the name itself. But other than that, the functionality is exactly the same. I've been able to work on every single group, adjust the levels on every group. Everything has been working perfectly, so I haven't had any issues. So as far as a direct replacement for the Canon flash trigger, I would say this is about the same. Other than, I did mention on the unboxing video, the power button is a little bit softer than the Canon, so it doesn't feel as strong as a Canon to turn it on, and that's a little bit, it feels like it's going to fall off, I guess. So you just got to be careful with that. And also the center wheel is very soft as well. It's not very, you don't feel the clicking confirmation that you do from the Canon. So other than that, the center cross and the focus assist not being centered, I would say this is pretty much a direct replacement for the Canon version of it. If you are going to be, again, I'll recommend if you're going to be shooting for weddings and things like that, your best bet is to stick with a Canon 600EX-RT. You're going to be on a studio where you're going to have good light, then definitely use this. I've used it with umbrellas, with soft boxes, and it's worked every single time. No issues there. And I'll probably post a picture of how well the TTL works. So that's actually a good thing. And other than that, that's pretty much it. I mean, hopefully you guys get to work on some of these. And if you're having the same issues that I am with the autofocus assist not being centered, let me know. Maybe it's something that they're seeing across multiple lots, and it's probably, I'm thinking it's more of a quality issue with YN-E trying to rush these units out of the manufacturing floor. One thing that we did do, I upgraded the revision of the firmware, and I've seen some posts where people are having a lot of issues with the firmware process. When I went to look at the instructions, nothing's very well documented from YN-E. So whenever you go to their website, there's actually 2 files out there. One of them is the software itself to install the firmware, which is basically, it writes the firmware into the IC chips inside the flash. And the second is the firmware itself. So I received the flash with firmware 1.5, I think it was, and I downloaded 1.7. When I went to install the flash or upgrade the flash, I had a problem where it wasn't recognizing that the flash was connected to my camera, the trigger itself. Looked into the documentation for YN-E and saw the same issue that people were having on the posts, that they were having a hard time installing the firmware. So you have to open up the first file, which is the one that has all of the executable files, and there's a folder in there that has the drivers, so that way Windows 8 can actually detect the device. So the first thing that you got to do before you do anything else is you got to install the drivers. Once you install the drivers, then you can definitely install the operating software, and then you can select the firmware version and install that. That will fix the problem that a lot of the people are seeing. So again, just install the drivers first, and once you do that, you can install the executable and everything gets fixed. The other thing is the antivirus protection programs out there, they do not recognize the file names because it's a new file that's been released from them. So they flag it as a virus, especially since it's coming from China. So one thing that you got to worry about that is that you definitely want to make sure that you allow that file to be executed, and once you do that, you're not going to find a problem. Once I fixed all those problems, it took me about 1 minute to install the firmware, and everything else worked properly after that. So I hope you enjoy this, and let me know what you find out.